Hello and welcome to another edition of The Lost Chapters. I will be your host Roman, and I'm here with
your other host, John.
Alright, so does that work? Did that work as an opening?
I was not paying attention.
Because I looked at a thesaurus, and this is what comes up under chapter. So affiliate, branch, division, episode, member, phase, stage, unit, part, period, wing. I'm partial to wing. Welcome to the next wing in the Lost Chapters.
When I hear wing, other than obviously
Chicken wing,
a
I hear
bird demon,
fatty.
I think of like a building wing, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking unit. Because whenever like you're in a college course, they always say, look at this unit. And that's what they mean, like this other chapter, this, next part of the book.
I'll take your word on that. While I did go to a substandard community college, I spent most of my time in the gaming room.
Yeah, and that, at our first community college, yeah, I agree. We went to the same community college, around the same time. At the same time, not around. He didn't do shit. I had music appreciation in the morning. Didn't fucking do anything. I was supposed to know how to read music by that point. I've never looked at a sheet of music. I'm a boy of the internet, or now a man of the internet, and I learned everything I know about music through a computer, which includes tabs. So if you don't know what a tab is, go look that up. But that was a long-winded introduction for this episode.
Episode 3.
That's right, episode 3. Or unit 3.
Episode 3 of The Lost Chapters.
I guess. It's there. Fuck it. Why mess with success? Alright. So what are we going to be talking about here today, John?
We played 40K.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually played some 40K, which, spoilers, I had a really good time.
Me too.
It was at COG, at Court of Gamers here in San Antonio. And it's a narrative campaign ran by our buddy Will. So shout out to Will. And it's called I believe it's called the Battle for Sonora, if I'm not mistaken. Which I thought he was when I first read it, I thought it was Battle for Sonterra, which is a street out there. It's like the next street. I was like, oh, he just fucking named a street? Alright, I guess. I was about to be kind of upset. I was like, come on. But it's Sonora. So I'm good with that. Not that I was going to be fucking upset with fucking Sonterra, but I was just like, oh, I guess he's just using the street name.
The Battle for San Ignacio. The next street over.
No one likes that street. But yeah, we played... it's a 1,000-point narrative at the moment, and he's using last year's chapter approved for the Build a Hero. So if you are a member of Red Star and listening to this, you know the video, the shittily put together video of me messing around with a fucking app that doesn't work, which I then tried it later on, that same app that was not working. I tried it and it fucking worked. I was like, God damn it, only when you're trying to do something. But with the hero, I don't remember exactly what I rolled, but I know it's like reroll ones, reroll charge, something like that. Those are the two that I remember. And this was the first time I had played Dark Angels since their Psychic Awakening update, which I can tell you as a player who has not played 40K in months. I don't remember the last time I actually played 40K.
I actually do remember the last time you played your Dark Angels.
What was that?
You played your Dark Angels when I forgot the name of the books already, but the Marnios Calgar versus
the first
Vigilus.
First Vigilus book.
When you got new rules in Vigilus, that's the last time you played them.
That's true. Yeah, and it was a Ravenwing detachment.
Yeah,
and that's that was a whole other thing. But the list that I was running, if I could actually bring it up on Battlescribe, it was Dark Angels. It was 1,000 points. My leader was just Master which I rolled off on the in Psychic Awakening. They brought a name your dark angels like thing, and I was rolling it, and Mike Brown was next to me, and he saw, "You're even gonna roll for your name?" And I was like, "I ain't no bitch, all right? I roll for everything. I don't care." And I was like, "It's a narrative, so like, if I can build a narrative around this, one person, I don't care about picking the name." So it was Barial, Sword or Blade Bearer, I think is what and I was like, all right, I can fucks with that. That sounds cool. Barial is like,
He had an axe.
it's Belial and fucking Samael just fucking smushed together. And be like, all right, there you go, boom, next Dark Angels character. But yeah, he was just a master. I named. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I put stupid names for my lists, for like all the lists that I actually play on Battlescribe. You know how you can just fucking name your list. I think I just named this one Fluff Baby.
Mine is just Fluff.
So I was running an Outrider detachment, and in that one was a Ravenwing Talon Master and 3 Land Speeders. They were Heavy Bolter and Cyclonic or Typhoon Missile Launcher. So I had those. And then I was running a Vanguard detachment, which actually did have my master. He had Brilliant Strategist, so I can see if I can conserve the few command points that I have. He has a Power Sword and then a Plasma Pistol. And actually modeled him up. I should put now that I think about it, I probably should put a picture of him on the Lost Chapters Instagram. So if you want to go to the.lost.chapters on Instagram, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that we post up. If it's cool, like really good looking stuff, that's most likely Tony or John posting up cool shit that they've seen. If it's progress pics, it's usually mine. So if you see like fantasy shit, it's mine. But there's a whole bunch of stuff there. So I'll probably put up a picture of him once I get him a little more painted. I literally just started base coating him, so he doesn't have much color on him. But he is my warlord. Then I had a tactical squad, and this was just the Dark Vengeance tactical squad. So it was 7 regular Marines, a plasma gun, plasma cannon, and the sergeant with the chainsword plasma pistol. And then I ran company veterans. So it was a 5-man, all with chainsword and plasma pistols, just because I had modeled them that way, I think during 7th. And just like, fuck it, I'm just going to have this super powerful, plasma unit. And they did okay. And then 2 units of 4-man servitors, just so I can fill out some spots. And I didn't see that. I didn't. That wasn't my addition. That was John. John was like, "Why don't you just use servitors?" Because I had so many points left over. I honestly didn't know what to bring. I was just thinking, well, I'll just fucking bring my tech squad up to like 15 or something, which is something I might fuck with, because there's no lock on the actual the list making. The only thing that has to remain is your one character, your warlord has to stay the same. But other than that, you can fuck with whatever you want. I fought Greg. If you don't know Greg, he had we interviewed him about LVO on the previous podcast,
back when we were still Perils of the Warp.
Yeah, you can check that out. I don't remember what it is, but we interviewed Greg about his time at LVO. It was a really good interview, so you can go ahead and
cut that out of whatever episode it's from and put it into a new episode.
If we could find it. I'm pretty sure we could find it somewhere. We can splice it back in. Maybe that's something we can do. But when it comes to this game, he was playing Death Guard. So I was like, okay. So he had, I think, 3 just little 5-man, maybe 6. Maybe that was the one with 7 or so. But just kind of base level Plague Marines. Then he had 2 Hellbrutes, just the ones from the Dark Vengeance, so as a multi-melta and then the Power Fist that they have. And he had 2 Demon Princes. And then he had the Plague Burst Crawler. Took me a while to remember that. The Plague Burst Crawler And I believe that was it. Trying to remember if there was any. If I do miss anything, I'm sure he'll correct me on that. But I did lose. The thing is, I made a key mistake, and if I didn't do that, my warlord would have survived at least one more turn. I fucked up during a key battle with his like demon prince. I charged in. What did I charge in? Oh, I charged in a rhino because I had a rhino that my chapter master and company veterans were in. So I charged him in, and then I charged in my master. Forgetting about the interrupt, I attacked with the rhino first, and he just fucking obliterated. I was like, God damn it! All right, so that was like a tactical error. The entire game, I forgot about the bolter disciplines. So I completely forgot about the like adding AP to specific the doctrines is what they're called. Fucking I can't even remember the name. So I completely forgot about the doctrines. If I would have done it right in what was it, the second turn, I should have turned over to tactical, and I would have given all my plasma, which I had the plasma pistols, and I had that tactical group with plasma pistols. If I had those, they would have gotten a +1 AP, bringing him up to AP4, which means that he would have just had his disgustingly resilient. So he would have just had that. And I was like, oh, that could have actually helped me out a lot. Completely forgot about it. Even though I did, the Dark Angels still stood on the table. Surprisingly, the TAC Marines did a whole lot of work. Like, just base level TAC Marines. So I'm kind of excited about that. Because I don't want to use intercessors. Not that I have anything against them. It's just I like the idea of like the TAC squads being able to kit out like different things. You know, like having, like if I want a grav gun, I can have a grav gun and like a las cannon. You know what I mean? Like things like that where it's just like, yeah, just fuck around with this whole thing. I love that. And then with intercessors, you really can't do that. They're just bolters. You know what I mean? Which is what most Marines are, but I like kind of that little variety with TAC squads. So surprisingly, they did well. I brought a, I also forgot on that list, I brought a Rhino, and I brought a twin-linked assault cannon Razorback. I surprisingly rolled pretty well. Like, there was very few, like, shots that I missed, like, altogether. I kind of had a good, I was having some good dice then. It was a fun game, and I think I lost by maybe, the mission we were doing is all I had to do was keep them out of my deployment. So since it was a 4x4, it was a 6-inch deployment that I was in, I just had to keep them out of there. That's all I had to do. Land speeders can pump out a lot of shots, which I like, especially like the Typhoon missile launchers. You can either do, it can either be 2 heart shots or it can be 2d6 no AP shots. You know, strength 4, no AP. Which, again, if I remember the doctrines, they would have at least had -1 AP. So I was like, fuck. Okay, so that's something to remember. So I'm actually gonna write out a cheat sheet. I was talking to Greg, and Greg was like, "Yeah, there's no stigma behind like having a cheat sheet. Like professionals have a cheat sheet so that they can reference like, hey, this is what you have to do during this phase, and this phase." So next time I'm gonna like write it out. Just be like, okay, remember this, just so I can like make a better game of it. Not saying that this wasn't a good game, just that I'm not always going to play Greg. I'm going to play other people, and I want to give them the best game that I can. I think I can only really play like one game each time we all meet, which I think is the requirement for Will. He's just like, look, just as long as you get one game in. If you can get 2 games in, cool. But one game is really all you need. So, fun game. I'm thinking about messing with my list. I'm thinking about bringing Dreadnoughts because I love my Dreadnoughts. I just want to bring this whole 1,000 points, since it's just 1,000 points. I just want to bring dumb shit that you just won't see a lot of the time. And since it's a narrative, it's not really like, nobody's gonna be bringing a lot of big shit. There was one guy that brought a Stormlord, and I was like, oof. I don't know why you brought a Stormlord, but hey, you brought a Stormlord. Have fun. other than that, that was my experience. What about you, John?
I had a great fucking time. I played Death Guard.
Mm-hmm.
I took a Demon Prince with a Plague Spewer, 4 fucking fly bug drone thingies with Plague Spewers, and 1 unit of Plague Marines. So yeah, my four bugs and my Demon Prince just zipped around throwing acidy spit everywhere, and I played against Grover, who was playing his Sisters of Battle, all the new Sisters of Battle stuff.
Anthony.
Yeah, and it was a surprisingly good game. Like, I know he wasn't excited to play against 4 fucking bots, and I made it worse because, like, Will was like, hey, does anybody want to challenge anybody? And I'm all like, yeah, I got Anthony. And he just looks at my army and he's all like, fuck. But he took down everything except like half the unit of Plague Marines. Like the whole, by the end of the battle, both of us had like 4 models left on the table.
Nice.
It was fucking
Nice and
bloody. But yeah, dude, sister did fucking work, man.
With their because they have access to Bolter Discipline, right? So they can
I don't
or
know,
like a version.
Yeah,
of
they have a lot of rules. Most of them focus around like shooting.
Eloquent as ever. They have a lot of rules.
But one thing they did have that I appreciated is they basically have destiny dice. For them, it's miracle dice.
Damn right.
And they roll these dice and they keep them to the side and they can replace a die roll with one of the miracle die.
Yeah, and I know that one of the rules actually allows them to keep like replenishing those dice.
Yeah, he was replenishing the dice for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, Sisters. Honestly, this little narrative campaign, thanks to Will, kind of like reignited like, oh, 40k can be fun. Because for a long time I was just like, 40k isn't fun, blah blah blah. But if you limit yourself, and maybe that's like my thing, is I wasn't limiting myself, because I'm not trying to be competitive with it. You know, I'm not trying to like, you know, kick anybody's dick in the dirt. So I was always constantly looking for like those rerolls, and it's just like, well, fuck it, you don't need all those rerolls. Have one person that can do it. And I was like, oh yeah, I have two things that offer rerolls, and that's pretty much it. And you know, I have Grim Resolve, which if I stay stationary, I can do that just by itself. And I don't know, it was actually just fun. I actually had fun with 40k for the first time in fucking like a year.
I mean, aura hugging, it does get boring.
Yeah.
You know, I was forgetting like a lot of my fucking rerolls I had, because my Demon Prince offers rerolls, but I forget that because he's a fucking Demon Prince. You don't think of him as a support character, you think of him as a fucking Demon Prince.
Yeah.
And then I got plague weapons, which Anthony kept having to remind me. He's like, reroll your ones. I'm like, oh yeah.
Piece of shit doesn't even know his army.
And I mean, it's been a while. And then once my Plague Marines got into combat, it was 6s go off with Death of the False Emperor. So there was some extra dice being thrown on my side, but I wasn't like actively searching for it, you know.
Yeah.
I was just trying to fucking throw Nurgle Jizz over as much of the table as possible, which I did, and that was fun. Even my Plague Marines had a Plague Spewer, so it's like that was the goal for me. My Demon Prince, I did not roll randomly.
Yeah, fucking all of you that didn't roll are fucking cowards.
Everybody, nobody rolled except for you.
Yeah, fucking cowards, all of you, the lot of you.
So I took an extra spell. I went twice on the psychic hero thing. Yep. One, so I could know an extra spell, so I wouldn't just be casting Smite as my second spell. The second one was to be able to cast a second spell.
Yeah.
And then my third one was I couldn't be wounded on a 1, 2, or a 3.
Yeah.
No matter what, I had to be wounded on a 4 or greater.
Yeah.
Plus, my Demon Prince had the Separating Plate, which was a 2-up armor save. Which I don't take necessarily to be cheesy.
Yeah.
I take because my Demon Prince has a fucking shield, like a huge fucking shield. And I'm like, well, that's the Separating Plate, you know, not the armor itself, but the fucking shield.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a tough little fucker, but he went down again for the second fucking time in Overwatch.
Good man. That's what a Demon Prince is supposed to do. It's supposed to eat shit. All right. Fuck Demon Princes. I'm just angry because I don't have anything that's like that in my army.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know we have a game planned for later.
Yes.
Or 2 games technically, because we're gonna play 7th edition with our armies.
Yes.
And then play 8th edition to see how they differ. And the fucking difference between the 7th edition Demon Prince and 8th edition Demon Prince is stupidly big.
Yeah.
Like,
the just to kind of elaborate on that plan, me and John in a future episode, we don't know exactly when, we have to actually plan it out. We're gonna take the exact same list, so, or as close as we can, just because the Force Org charts they differ dramatically, as well as the detachments that you can actually take, or the way that they're formed. So we're gonna try to get them as close as possible to each other. And what we wanted to do there was just see how the army functions in one edition to the other, with very little variance in terms of characters or units.
Yeah.
But we also wanted to time it, because we're thinking, everybody says, "Oh, 8th edition's so much quicker," and it's so much, and I don't know if it's quicker, and maybe we're not the best judges of that, because we don't play as much 8th edition as we do 7th edition. So that maybe this isn't going to be fucking super scientific. You know what I mean? We're just going to time our rounds and kind of time the whole game as a whole and kind of see where it differs. But we have a pretty good grasp in terms of 7th and 8th edition back and forth. So that shouldn't be too much. There shouldn't be too much of a variance. But I want to see if there is a big chasm in which the amount of time you can take to play a game, because I don't know with 7th edition, I don't know if it's any different. Like take the Typhoon missile launcher, right? The Typhoon missile launcher in 7th edition was a small blast, right? So you put the small blast, you roll it, but it was twin linked, so you can re-roll it if you need to. Or it's 2 hard shots. That didn't change. And in 8th edition, it's just a random 2d6. Is it really that much different? I don't think so. It may take a few seconds extra to be like, all right, it hits 3, instead of just like, okay, roll and it's okay, it hits 7.
A big difference is going to be my Plague Burst crawlers, because in 8th edition I'll be taking Plague Burst crawlers.
Yeah.
In 7th edition I'll be using the same model, but it'll be a Vindicator, because Plague Burst crawler is a new model. Now a Vindicator with a 5-inch template is gonna kill a lot more shit than a Plague Burst crawler that rolls 1d6, and that's how many shots you get.
Yeah.
So with me it's gonna be 1 and 2 more often than it's gonna be 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So there is gonna be some big differences.
Yeah, and I'm interested in that. I'm interested to see how these things kind of translated. With that, it's different because it's Plague Burst crawlers versus like another thing entirely.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but the cannon is still basically going to be the same thing.
Yeah. The Vindicator is still a 1d6 shots
in 8th edition.
In 8th edition,
yeah, it's 1d6 shot.
Oh, okay, so it's not
actually. It only just recently became 1d6 shot.
What
it
was
was
it
actually a D3. It was the shittiest vehicle in the fucking galaxy.
Fair enough.
But at some point, I don't even know when, they changed it to a D6, because they're like, yeah, well, I guess nobody's ever going to play with this fucking thing again, so let's make it relevant.
But it's one of those things where we want to do that, so look forward to that if you're interested. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
So actually, I do want to talk about Death Guard. Because a lot of things have happened in 40k since the last time I played a game, and like the Bolter Discipline, I wasn't playing when that came around.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the name of the rule, where if you're in Astartes, whether a good guy or a bad guy, if you charge, you get +1 attack.
Oh, fuck, what is that? Shock and Awe?
Shock and Awe? Okay, so maybe. I definitely didn't know about that until this night that we played this game.
I don't know if it's Shock and Awe. Could be fucking up. But either way, go ahead.
So, I mean, Death Guard, yeah, they have the Plague Burst crawler,
mm-hmm.
But that's like their heaviest hitting thing, and it's the only thing that they have like that. If you don't count Mortarion, who's going to get shut off the table on the first turn.
Yeah.
Or at least get shut down to where his stats fucking suck. But there's this list that I have that I want to fucks with. And it starts off much the same as my 1,000-point list for the Fluff Knight. Which is, by the way, this is not a fluff list. This is like what I think could and will be a pretty hardcore list. So it's my 3 Blight Drones, rule of 3, can't take 4.
Yeah.
And my Demon Prince, pretty much the same way as the 1,000 points. Everybody with freaking Acidity Spit.
Yeah.
And so adding 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, which, funny enough, they're actually 2 points cheaper than the Bloat Drones.
Okay.
The Plague Burst Crawler comes in at 136 points. So they're actually pretty low priced, I think.
Yeah.
So 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, 3 Flooded Boat Drones.
Okay.
2 units of Blightlord Terminators. Now a lot of people are arming these guys with 5 Plasmas.
Okay.
I actually want to try them out with Meltaguns. Not with 5 because that's expensive, but with 3 or 4.
Okay.
I got a little bit of points to play with here, but I'll see if I take it up to 4 or keep it at 3. I know that's less shots, but it's potentially more damage, and also I don't have to worry about my guys fucking blowing themselves up.
Yeah.
So for my 3rd elite, it's a unit of Death Shroud Terminators to kind of stand behind the Blight Lords, so that if I get charged, the Death Shrouds will come in and fuck shit up to loosen them up so they can start shooting again.
Yeah.
3 just basic units of 10-man Poxwalkers.
Okay.
Just, to grab an objective, even if it's just 1. These guys don't take morale tests, so they're staying to the last man. My HQs are going to be a Demon Prince of Nurgle, same way as I took them in the Fluff Knight.
Okay.
A Malignant Platecaster for pretty much just there for mortal wounds.
Yeah.
And the 3rd HQ, which I don't have to take 3 HQs, but I want to see how this works. Just a generic Chaos Lord.
Okay.
So I can reroll 1s on the Plague Burst Crawlers. And if I had 3 more points, I think, or 4 more points, I would have just taken a 2nd Malignant Platecaster for the Mortal Wounds. But I did not. So that the Chaos Lord is only 74 points, bare bones.
Yeah.
So he's. I'm gonna see how that works to see if I can re-roll some 1s with my Plague Burst Crawler. See if that makes them a little bit more efficient. But going back to the Death Shroud Terminators, these guys, the champion has 4 attacks, and the other 2 have 3 attacks. So that's 10 attacks base. Yeah. Plus they each get plus 1 attack thanks to Shock and Awe. So that's taking it up to 3 guys are doing 13 attacks. They're plague weapons, so you can use a spell on them so that if they hit on 6s, if they wound on 6s, it does a mortal wound on top of the damage they're already taking, which is D3 damage from the Man Reapers. So it's a mortal wound per 6. Also, each 6 is generating an extra attack because of Death of the False Emperor. I think a 3-man unit of Death Shroud Terminators with the new rules has become a truly terrifying force, especially since they've had their points dropped like twice now.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with the Deathwing Knights.
Yeah,
they are down to 175 points for a 5-man. You don't have to pay for anything in that unit. That is just they come with storm shields. They come with their flails.
And the flails, are those flails? Because I have plague flails, and every attack with a plague flail is D3 attacks. Is that the same for your flails?
No, they have base 2 attacks. Let me double check, just because I've actually been thinking about running them in the next game, the next 1,000-point game. I was thinking about bringing them. Let me look up their rules really quickly.
And for those of you, while he's doing this, for those of you listening to the podcast who didn't make it out to the Fluff Night. It's going to be every other week for those of you who are not aware. And after the first month, we're going to kick it up by 500 points. So it'll be going to 1,500. And your hero will be going up to a mighty hero, which is 6 abilities?
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It's 4, 6, and then 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be a lot of fun shenanigans going on during these events. And they are going to be once every 2 weeks. On a Friday.
Okay, so a base unit of 5 Deathwing Knights is 175 points. They can combat squad, which means they can separate into 2 units if they need to. They have the inner circle, which they automatically pass morale and reroll hits in the fight phase for against fallen units. They have storm shield, so 3-up invols. Teleport strike, which deep strike, you know what that does. They are base 2 attacks. The master is 3. But the flails themselves, well, there's one flail. The master has the flail of the Unforgiven, which is strength 2, so that's strength 6 altogether. AP -3 and damage 2, but with the flail it passes over.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about it. No, the base thing is their Mace of Absolution, which is strength times 2, which is strength 8. AP -2, but damage 3.
Whew, flat 3?
Flat 3. So that's what makes them good, is that they just have like a flat 3 damage. Whatever goes through, you're taking 3 damage. Doesn't matter. The cool thing about this is that being about for 350, you have a 10-man, right? For 350 points, you have a 10-man with 1 mace, which I think you can take a second one after when you bump it up to 10. I have to double check that. But either way, you'll have at least 1 flail and 9 maces. You can do the combined assault, which you can drop them in 6 inches if you need to, if you have Raven Wing. So that's 2 CP. 1 CP, you can bump up their toughness. So they're toughness 5 now. So they'll be toughness 5 with a 2-up, 5-up save. You can then spend another command point, if need be, to give them the transhuman physiology, I think is what it's called. And they only get wounded on a 4-up, no matter what. So, come on.
That does sound... I mean, with the 3-up invulnerable save on top of it?
And that's just one big 10-man block. Jesus. Like, that'll be your fuck you unit. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm thinking, is that instead of, like, sparsing them out into 3 5-mans, and then having just, you can only use in a match play scenario. In the narrative, that's a different thing. Like, I probably won't do that in narrative. But like in a competitive like standpoint, you can't use the same stratagem more than once in a phase. So it's going to be harder to keep those things alive. But if they're one 10-man brick with a I'm sorry, did I say a 2-up 5-up? I mean a 2-up 3-up. Because of their storm shields. So 2s and 3s for saves, right? Then you bump up their toughness. Then you can only wound them on a 4-up. Like, they're gonna survive. And if they drop in 6 inches, they're gonna make their charge. And guess what? Whatever they hit is gonna fucking die. And it's just the amount of attacks. With a 10-man, 18, 21 attacks?
Plus the +1 attack.
Plus the +1 attack, so that's 31 attacks.
3 damage, strength 8.
Yeah. Most of them hitting on... A majority hitting on 3s, if not 2s. So, I mean, you're gonna like mess something up, whatever it is. So, this makes me realize that, like, Dark Angel's got a big punch in the arm, that they can actually do something. And especially with the Deathwing Knights, they were severely overcosted when they first came out. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were in the realm of like 235 points when 8th edition first dropped. And then they dropped them down like to maybe, I think 210 or maybe 205. And then they got the second decrease with this book, or the chapter approved, at 175. So at 175, that's a fucking steal, to be honest with you. But even so, like, even Terminator's got like just a regular Deathwing Terminator's got a bump. With all that, they got a big shot in the arm, and I'm happy about that. I'm kind of torn on what the next like 1,000 points I should bring is, because I want to bring a fully painted. At 1,000 points, I want to bring fully painted stuff. So I'm wondering, is it in bad taste, John, to bring a Nephilim.
I don't think so.
To bring one flyer that maybe pumps out 10 shots.
Because in 8th edition, if somebody on the floor is shooting at a flyer, they're just shooting at a -1. Yeah, you're not fucking hitting on 6s like in 30k.
Yeah.
Also, somebody brought a fucking shadow sword, so.
Well, you know,
as long as you're not that guy.
I mean, whatever. That guy can bring what he wants, but I did see a lot of side eye. Like, why would you bring that? Either way, I was thinking about just bringing one flyer, like just in one of the 1,000-point lists, or maybe I should wait until 1,500, where like, you know, it's a bigger point thing, and I can bring it more comfortably if we jump up to 1,500. Maybe I'll wait until then. But at 1,000 points, I want to do fully painted. That was one thing. The other thing is I want to bring a Land Raider, just to fucking bring a Land Raider, because I have a fully painted Land Raider, and it's seen the field maybe once, maybe twice, but once for sure. And the only reason I know that is because it was at Multiverse, and it was the barbecue game, where we had like a barbecue potluck outside. That was the only time that I remember bringing that Land Raider out.
That was a good day.
That was an awesome day. Hopefully we can do that again soon. But I'm excited for 40k. I've been thinking like, oh, okay, what could I bring this time? Like, what'll be fun and kind of a challenge for people? Could I be bringing 3 dreadnoughts? Oh, maybe. Could I be bringing other shit? I have no idea. I have to think about 1,000 points, because at 1,000 points for me is probably one of the most fun games, because everybody's limited. Everybody's like, fuck, what do I bring? What do I bring? And I'm kind of like, all right, this is where this Roman's time to shine. Because at 1,000 points, I can bring dumb shit, and you're either gonna deal with it really quickly, or you're not gonna have an answer to it. But other than that, anything else you want to talk about 40k wise?
Not 40k wise. We do have an interview coming up for our listeners for kill teams.
Oh, okay.
So at least there'll be more diversity in this particular episode
than
normal.
I didn't stick around for that. I had to go so I can record another podcast that we do for City. So John took care of that interview. I'm hoping that next time we can, do a few more interviews so we can kind of backlog those and spread them out as we need. I do like the idea of kind of putting them at the end of every episode and just giving more of a voice to different people in our community.
Yeah,
and especially different games.
Yeah, remember guys, if you ever want to be on the show and just talk about the armies you play, the armies you love, the tactics you like doing, how you feel your list is doing better than other lists out there, and for what reason, we would love to hear your strategies and your opinions.
Yeah, for sure.
So just go ahead and message one of us, or email the show, or comment anything.
Yeah.
To let us know when we have a mobile recorder ready. So.
Yeah, for sure. If you do want to send us an email, which I remembered in the last episode we didn't even talk about. Remember, if you want to send us any email, go to thelostchapters00@gmail.com. So yeah, again, if you wanted to send us an email, thelostchapters00@gmail.com. And if you want to leave a comment down below and like this video if you're looking on YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, even if you're listening to this and you're a Red Star and you don't have YouTube, or you don't listen to the podcast through any other means, and you want to get in touch with us personally, just look us up on Facebook. We're on Red Star. Roman, I think I'm the only Roman in that group. John, you may want to search for a little harder, but I think that's it for 40k.
That's it for 40k.
All right, so this is what I like to call the magic hour, because if you remember when we were doing Perils, towards the end of our Perils run, I was talking an awful lot about fantasy. I was making a whole bunch of shit up, like, hey John, why don't you come in? Why don't you look at the rules of fantasy and see what's up? And now John has been looking through the BRB for 8th edition fantasy, and he's been liking what he's seeing. He's for some reason I found excitement in a dead man's heart because I started I enticed him with probably the most hotly debated phase of that game, which is the magic phase. And John's a fucking big old sappy bitch for some crazy magic and psychic powers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started off, and eventually we're going to be playing a game, 1,000 point, just like little learner game for 8th edition fantasy. And if anybody's listening to this that does play fantasy, does have those square bases, those square bases, message us. Let us know. What's up? Dudes looking for dudes, as the Eye of Horus podcast would say. Come on. We're looking for more fantasy people. I don't want to play fucking, what's that bullshit called? I don't want to play 9th edition. It looks like it's for neckbeards. I don't like that. I wouldn't mind at least trying a game of Ice and Fire, or what? What is it called? A Song of Ice and Fire. A game of Ice and Fire. A Song of Ice and Fire. I wouldn't mind at least learning to play it. That would, depending if I had fun, I'd buy into it maybe. But yeah, I did want to play Kings of War for a little bit until I realized that the system does not allow for any interactions during turn, like whatsoever, and that really turned me off to that to that game. So I'm gonna go over a list because I'm gonna be playing Warriors of Chaos. We're gonna go over my list, which is called just aptly named First Fantasy. All right. That's all it's gonna be. It's Warriors of Chaos. It's 1,000 points. It's gonna be a chaos sorcerer. He is going to have the Mark of Slaanesh, of course. I gave him a Dispel scroll because I know John's gonna have some vampires and he's gonna want to throw out a magic spell, and if one is gonna fuck me up really badly, especially at 1,000 points, I want to make sure that I dispel it. I also gave him the Talisman of Preservation, which gives him a 6-up ward save, which is like a 6-up invul save, essentially. And that's all he really has, because he can only take, I think, 50 points of upgrades. The core, I have 2 5-man Chaos Warhounds. They are going to have Scaly Skin, which gives them a 6+ save. And then they're going to have Vanguard, which they can move up to 12. It's basically the scout rule from 7th edition. And then we have a 20-man brick of Chaos Warriors. Of course, with the Mark of Slaanesh, they're going to have shields and just their standard hand weapons. They are going to have a Battle Standard Bearer, or BSB, with a champion and a musician. But the BSB is going to have the Standard Discipline, which bumps up their leadership by 1. Making them a 9-up for leadership. And I believe that's all. They just have their regular Chaos Armor. And then I have I have a 7-man Chaos Knights, which are the Riders. And they are going to have Ensorcelled Weapons, which Ensorcelled Weapons are +1 strength and their magical attacks, which means that they can fuck shit up if they go through. And they are going to have a banner bearer, a musician, and a champion as well. Banner will have the Banner of Swiftness, which adds +1 to their movement, which their movement on Steed is 8, so they'll bump up to 9. So they'll have a 9-up movement, which makes them a little better to get them into a combat that I need them to get into. Other than that, they do have their shields, which gives them a parry save, which I believe is a 6-up. And yeah, that's my 1,000-point list. It's just going to be 1 big brick of Chaos Warriors, 2 Shaft Hounds, 1 cavalry, 1 pretty sizable cavalry, and a sorcerer. That's pretty much all I can do at 1,000 points. Warriors of Chaos are a pretty elite army. They're pretty expensive. What about you, John?
So, at 1,000 points, I have a Vampire Lord on a Hellsteed. He does have heavy armor and a shield, and he's on a mount, so all in all he'll have a 4-up save. He has Quick Blood, which means he always strikes first. And he has a Charmed Shield, so the first hit dealt against him is ignored on 2-up. And he's a level 1 wizard. And then I have a Necromancer, who is a level 2 wizard.
Okay.
And for my core, I have 2 units of 15 Crypt Ghouls. And for special, I have a unit of Crypt Horrors, which are souped up Crypt Ghouls.
Yeah.
And a unit of 5 Hex Wraiths, which is where the Vampire Lord will be.
Okay. Yep.
So a small army. I got 3 wizarding levels. So we'll see what I can do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what's gonna happen. I don't really know how to play. I saw some videos and stuff happened and dice were thrown. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, you're a lot more magic heavy than I could be. I honestly don't know how it's gonna go. If I can get into combat, I should be able to clean stuff up with my units, because my units do hit hard. The Warriors of Chaos do have a fuckload of attacks, and they're pretty decent in combat, especially against ghouls that are a lower initiative and a lower strength and toughness. Usually, I think they're like strength, toughness 3. If I'm not mistaken, which means, you know, I'll most likely be weapon skill. I think weapon skill 2. I'm not too sure on them. They could be 3, but you know, I'm gonna be hitting pretty good and wounding pretty easily. I'll probably be wounding on most likely 3s and hitting on most likely 3s as well.
My weapon skill is 3 on the ghouls, and my toughness is actually 4.
Okay, so toughness is 4. Okay, so it should be so. Okay, so I'll be hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s. So that's good. But that's the thing, is I love old fantasy for just being kind of this super movement heavy game, and like if you just deploy wrong, you're fucked. So you got to know how to deploy. Which we're not going to, so it's gonna just be like a weird fucking, like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know exactly which way I should wheel and shit like that, but I don't know, this is a game I've always wanted to play, so I'm happy that we're gonna play it. And once we get some more games in, and we're able to play bigger games and understand what we're doing, I'm hoping to get more people. I know it's not Zach, it's Ramon De La Rosa. He I believe he said he had a elves army, one of the elves, I don't remember which flavor, and Warriors of Chaos as well. So I'm like, alright, cool, that's awesome. And then, you know, once I get like a good painted Warriors of Chaos, who knows, I might just branch off into, because I have a whole bunch of Skaven, and I actually do have like a good chunk where I can do possibly 1,000 points, possibly 1,500 of Skaven by itself. So I'm like, alright, cool. I can either do Skaven, which I don't know if I should, just because they're going to be playing with a 7th edition fantasy codex next to an 8th. But there is, if you are interested in fantasy, just if you're interested in going back, or you're just hearing about it through other means, there is a website that I would like to provide y'all with. It is the Warhammer Armies Project.blogspot.com. This is a guy that has done a lot of work. He's basically anybody that didn't have an 8th edition codex when 8th edition was out. He has a fan-made codex for you that updates them. And the cool thing about it is it's not just him. He has kind of final say, but he does have a Discord as well, where he polls a lot of these like changes that he's going through. He also does have a fan-made 9th ed Warhammer Fantasy, which apparently functions like 8th edition, but has a few differences that kind of limit magic a lot and kind of stuff like that. Doesn't limit it, but doesn't make it as broken, because the biggest problem with it is 6 dicing a big spell and just decimating an army. More than likely, like Purple Sun, that's what happened for a lot of people, you know, in the competitive scene. From what I've read, is people just got tired of fucking 6-dicing Purple Sun and being like, okay, well that's fucking game, because it fucking shattered. It basically takes out their core units and they can't do dick. That kind of sucks. That's just what the game was. You can't fault people for fucking doing it because that's the game. But it just sucks that could just be exploited and you really can't do anything about it. I haven't read too much into his 9th edition. Like what makes it different from the 8th ed, but I'm going to look into it a little bit. I do know that he made a Skaven one for 8th edition that is fucking awesome. I honestly was even thinking of, can I print this out and can I make my own book? That's how like dedicated I am to fantasy. But then with, you know, the old world coming out, which in the Warhammer community they just showed like a new map for the old world, so they're at least doing like little fluff things. And apparently there's one called Sigmard or something like that. I don't remember specifically, but they could be like addressing, like there could be another range in the old world that kind of takes off from Sigmar, and like maybe like a more heavily armored kind of empire, what am I looking for, like a little empire faction. So that could be cool. Either way, if you're interested in fantasy, if you're playing AOS, I don't mind you know, putting your little rounded bases into some square holes and kind of seeing what happens from there. I have no problem with that. I just want to play this game that I never got a chance to play, and I want to, you know, I just want to have fun with it. That's all I want to do. John got a hell of a steal on a book that I paid what, $25 for? I got it through Robert Steele, so I was like, alright, cool. Robert, you get some more money, you can give me all your fucking fantasy stuff. Come on, bring it to me. Oh, and that goes for anybody listening that's in, you know, Red Star in San Antonio. If you have fantasy books, you know, like 8th edition fantasy books, let me know, and we'll maybe work out a deal on some stuff that I'm looking for.
If you have a fantasy army on square bases, especially when it's painted, let me know.
Yeah, if you have that, let John know, because he's a lazy piece of shit. I won't paint anything. Case in point, going back to 40K, Will's saying, man, I like your army, Roman. You have 2 painted armies here. Because John's shit is just painted by me. At some point, I just had to fucking like charge John for it. Like, there's no reason why I should be just doing work for free. So I'm gonna start charging you for shit that you want me to do. I'll paint the fantasy army. That was part of the deal. I said, you know, if you buy the army, I'll paint it. That stands. Anything past that, you're fucking paying me for.
You still gotta finish spacing my death guard.
Yeah, I can do that fucking tonight.
From a old standing agreement.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that,
anything new? Baby, you gotta pay.
We'll see what happens.
I'm not taking fucking payment in toys anymore.
What about blowjobs?
Fuck no, not from you. And you don't know any real good looking chicks. Alright, either way, I think that about wraps up this episode. Hopefully by next episode we'll have played our fantasy game. We'll have a little update on that. Hopefully we'll play a little more Heresy. I've been itching for some Heresy. And possibly some 40K by then too. I don't know if we can work in AOS, but I'm always down to work in some AOS as well. Because I have a whole Lizardman army that I have to put together and I want to put on the field. Other than that, is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Nope.
Have you thought about a sign off for this?
Nope.
Fuck. Alright. I can always depend on John to do nothing for this goddamn podcast.
I showed up.
Alright. Laters, dudes.
Bye.